All right, here with Kings Park head basketball coach Rick Hite. His team went by a count of 53-48 at Oscar Smith to move to 10-0 on the season. 10-0 is pretty nice, coach. You take it here after this rugged stretch of 4 games in 5 days. It was looking like both you teams out there, your Bulldogs and their Tigers, were mighty tired in the third quarter, but you guys pulled it out.
Yeah, we both were running on fumes. Coach Griffin and I talked about it before the games. We think end game. We think late February, March. We play these games. We look back on it and be like, hey, we were able to get through it. And our guys just made, 1 or 2 more plays in them.
Mm-hmm. First half, you get out to a 10-point lead, so that helped you settle in here. They were able to battle back, get it within 1, tied a couple of times. But I thought, even as the game wore on, your physicality, because you went to the foul line just once in the first half, you got there more in the second half, which is kind of your trademark. That's what enabled you to kind of pull this one through.
Yeah, the first half, I just felt like they were just more aggressive. They came out of zone, and it just got into our bodies, and we kind of wilted a little bit. We discussed it at halftime, like let's get back to being Kingsport, attacking basketball. I thought we put the pressure on them in the second half, and was able to kind of, match their energy with our aggression.
George Beal, at this point, anything surprise you that this guy does? He had 34 and 15 yesterday against Cape Henry. He comes out here 23 points, 7 rebounds. He wasn't playing well early, but in the beginning of the fourth quarter, he kind of took charge of things.
Well, that's what closers do. If you want to play college basketball, you've been here 4 years, that's your time. That's kind of how you build a legacy, in the fourth quarter when your team needs you the most. And, G steps up for us.
Feels like his whole repertoire is opening up because he can post up, which he did at times tonight. He's hitting the outside shot. And then early in the game, I thought he had 3 or 4 assists just setting his teammates up. So he's kind of got the total floor game that's kind of been his game tonight. Sort of what you were starting to see with Epps a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, no, I just that guard and how I coach and how we play, I put a lot of responsibility on him. And, over time he started, playing with it down low, extending his range a little bit. Now we have him handling it, making plays with the basketball, and that's the evolution of a basketball player. And all our guys will kind of go through that, and that's why I play young guys the way I play young guys. So.
On a night where your other 2 quality guards didn't have their typical scoring output, Sam Brennan and Caleb Brown combining for just 9, a big step up from both. Deron Jackson gives you 12 points and 7 rebounds, and then when it became a big man game, you also got Jaden Pettis involved. He gave you a little bit of a spark.
Yeah, because again, he's been through it. He's actually started as a freshman, so again, he's been through it. We got some tough kids. Pettis is a tough kid. Ray is a tough kid. Ryan is a tough kid. So those guys, they feed off each other. They do the little things that help teams win. And Pettis is always ready to go.
Yeah, he was a bruiser inside. And I thought Ryan, on the defensive end, he had like 9 rebounds tonight. He was locking up guys on the perimeter. They have some good pieces, but you didn't feel like Leroy Hamilton or even Chubbs Young for them would take off because you had him as one of those guys that could take away somebody.
No, and obviously he's my own, but I think he's maybe the most unselfish player I've ever coached, because I asked him to do a lot of stuff that I typically wouldn't ask kids to do, and he embraces it. I know he has more because I live with him, right? But for us to be successful, he has to do those things, and he's an athlete that's strong, which gives you a great chess piece in the game of basketball.
Well, every championship team has those players that won't show up in the stat sheet, but if you watch the game, you see his impact and total value. Right?
Yeah, Jay Crowder, we like Jay Crowder type guy, Marcus Smart type guy. Like those guys, and he gets the respect of everybody in the locker room.
Sure. Lastly, you're 10-0 right now. You as a coach, just ask a couple of your guys in both Deron and G, how they feel about this undefeated. You're number 1 in the area, that type of thing. You had a team a couple of years ago that played a tough schedule like this, and some may argue that was a better, more talented team. But this team, do you guys talk about undefeated? Does that matter to you, or how do you look at it?
That's a good question, and I'm sure it's in the back of our minds. But again, I'm a big believer in just competing possessions. Just compete in the possession. And then at the end of the game, at the end of the quarters, at the end of the season, you say, hey, you know what, we put together a pretty good streak. And our guys, you've heard me say this, our practices look just like that game. It's just Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, it looks just like that game.
Well, it says something when you average 74 a game and you win with just 53 on the road that you did it a different way, right?
Yeah, and that's good basketball. And guys, again, can say, if we defend, we give ourselves a chance to win every night. And we've been doing that.
Congrats, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Matt, appreciate you.